is going to be the quarterbacks. And the two quarterbacks who did move, some of the quarterbacks who haven't moved yet. Justin Fields goes to the New York Jets on a 2-year, $40 million deal. Sam Darnold goes to the Seahawks on a 3-year, $100.5 million deal. Both those guys, top half of the first round picks. Both those guys have been through a bunch since. Sam Darnold will now be on his 5th team. He went from the Jets to the Panthers to the Niners to the Vikings and now to the Seahawks. Justin Fields now on his 3rd team, having gone from the Steelers, or having gone from the Bears to the Steelers, now to the Jets. As far as what this means for both those franchises, obviously for the Seahawks, this is the culmination of the process of the last few days, trading Geno Smith, getting a 3rd-round pick back for him, and replacing him for Sam Darnold. Why did they do that? Well, if you want to look at it, huge piece of it was the contract negotiation between Geno and Seattle. That had not gone in the right direction. They were about $10 million apart in their negotiation. They had a viable suitor in the Seattle Seahawks who had a connection to Geno, obviously with Pete Carroll having coached Geno over the years in Seattle. So they look at it and they look at the opportunity to go out and get Darnold. Darnold is 7 years younger. He's also cheaper. And they get the 3rd-round pick to boot. So the Seahawks do that. I think they view Sam Darnold, at least for right now, as sort of what Alex Smith was in Kansas City for Andy Reid. Andy Reid got to Kansas City, traded for Alex Smith, got 5 great years out of Alex Smith as his starter, bought him time to find Patrick Mahomes and build the rest of the roster up. I think that's sort of the concept here in bringing in Sam Darnold. Now, can he be what Geno Smith has been the last couple of years? That remains to be seen. I think Geno's been a pretty good quarterback for them in replacing Russell Wilson over the last 3 years. So whether or not he gets that level remains to be seen. But if he can play at that level, again, they get younger at the position, they get cheaper at the position, they get a 3rd-round pick in the wash. As for Justin Fields going to the Jets, there were a lot of people in Pittsburgh who wanted to keep working with Justin Fields. Obviously, the Aaron Rodgers situation does complicate that, but they really felt like he made real progress over the course of the year. There were a lot of people in that building who felt like he was their best option at quarterback at the end of the year over Russell Wilson. And so now the Jets get the benefit of the development time that the Justin Fields got in Pittsburgh last year. There's a big feeling from people who've worked with Fields that he just needs to play more and he needs some runway. And now he'll get that runway in New York. I think this is also a reflection of the draft class. And the draft class is not great at the quarterback position. You have one guy, I think, like a lot of people, not all, but a lot of people think is a franchise level talent in Cam Ward. I think people were iffier on Shedeur Sanders. And then after that, we're talking about guys who are going to go on day 2 or 3. So now the Jets don't have to force it. They can wait for the 2026 draft to go back in and get a quarterback when guys like Garrett Nussmeier and Drew Aller, will be in the draft. And then they get to see what happens with Justin Fields. Maybe Justin Fields, who's still young, can be their answer at the position. As for what's still out there, you got Aaron Rodgers still out there. You have Russell Wilson still out there. You have Kirk Cousins potentially out there. That situation is still unsettled. Derek Carr is still a little murky. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to make a decision relatively shortly on Pittsburgh or New York. I quite honestly don't know where Russell Wilson's going to land. I would be surprised if he went back to Pittsburgh. I don't think Tennessee is an option for him. The Giants, maybe if they strike out on Rodgers, wind up with Wilson as a 1-year answer. I think it's going to be a little bit of a tougher market for him. And then if Cousins comes free, of course, I think he becomes an answer for Cleveland, especially if he's cut and they can take advantage of the offset, which allows them, of course, to work around the big numbers on Deshaun Watson's contract. But for right now, the Browns at least put a body in that quarterback room on Monday and trading for Kenny Pickett. So still a pretty unsettled quarterback picture when you think about some of the big names that are out there.